That is a dubious distinction, to say the least. Tonight we are indeed talking about the terrible toll that prescription drugs are taking on our kids here in Orange County. Right now, let's take a look at a video that tells us about another type of death.
Looking back on the memory of the dance we shared beneath the stars above. For a moment, all the world was right, and how could I have known that you'd ever say goodbye? And now I'm glad I didn't know the way it all would end, the way it all would go. Our lives are better left to chance. I could have missed the pain, but I'd have had to miss the dance. Holding you, I held everything. For a moment, wasn't I the king? But if I'd only known how the king would fall, hey, who's to say? You know, I might have changed it all. And now I'm glad I didn't know the way it all would end, the way it all would go. Our lives are better left to chance. I could have missed the pain, but I'd have had to miss the my life. It's better left to chance. I could have missed the pain, but I'd have had to miss the dance.
Let's meet now the folks who were just featured in that wonderful video there. Wonderful but very sad.
Yes. Thank you.
Sherry Rubin.
Yes.
And her son, Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
You did that yourself. I don't know if I could have done that.
It was emotionally challenging. There was a lot of stop and go points with crying and my husband telling me to stop. But I really felt that Aaron's story needed to be told. It's far too common. We were planning Aaron's funeral when he overdosed, and between Aaron and God, he got to live, and I don't take that gift lightly. And I believe that everyone should understand the dangers of prescription pills and understand that they're not perceived harmful, and they are very harmful, and that we need to limit access to them, especially in our homes. They need to be locked up and put away. And so I made the video when we were going to do a presentation with the DEA in San Diego, and I just kind of popped up and did the video, and since then we've been working with them, and we do presentations at high schools and many organizations. And the one thing that I think is really important, that parents need to educate themselves. And I had no idea about prescription pills or really about drugs, other than telling my kids not to do them.
Don't do it. Yeah,
Don't
exactly
do
like
it.
all of us do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we can't really protect our children, our communities, if we're not educated. And if we don't educate ourselves on this epidemic, which is a national epidemic, we won't have a nation with functioning people.
Did you have any warning signs at all before the overdose that Aaron was involved in taking these prescription drugs?
In my mind as a mother at that time, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Now, knowing
Looking
and being
back,
educated of all the things I've learned in the last few years, absolutely.
You said that we've got to limit access to things like these drugs. How did Aaron get a hold of this drug?
Well, we didn't have any pills in our house, but Aaron, did you get them from friends? 1 for yes, 2 for no. Yes, because of Aaron's overdose, he is now quadriplegic, and he can't speak, but he understands everything, and he answers 1 for yes and 2 for no. So, and did you get them from Mexico, Aaron? 1 for yes, 2 for no. Yes.
Okay, so friends got him from Mexico and gave it to him. And how do you know how long he was taking the OxyContin before he overdosed?
I believe you started in the 10th grade, is that correct? Yes,
Yeah.
and then he overdosed when he was 23. So I would say like 5 years, 5 years.
Aaron, did you think that anything bad was going to happen to you?
1 for yes, 2 for no.
No, you never knew? Once you were on, it sounds like you were on for a while. When you wanted to stop, were you able to? You weren't?
No.
Yeah. You think that's common, that kids think they can stop at any time?
Absolutely. And that's another misconception that we try to help educate about, is about addiction. A lot of us, because we're not educated, believe that someone is continuing to use drugs or alcohol because of a choice, because they're making a stupid choice. Maybe they did make a choice the first time or the second time, but addiction is a disease. And once it becomes a disease with these pills, which could happen within the first time of taking them, you need to maintain that disease like you would diabetes or anything else. It isn't that nobody wants to be an addict. And they just have to realize that this is a disease that has to be maintained and get the proper channels and the proper help, and understand fully that this is a lifelong disease that has to be maintained. And I think that I certainly didn't understand that as a parent. I thought that there was the quick fix. Let's go to rehab, he'll be there 6 months, and then it's all hunky-dory. As you can see today, it's not. And by so many tragic lives lost, that's not true.
So what a parent, looking back, what do you wish you had seen during this whole time that he was taking the drug?
I wish I would have not attributed his muscle aches and pains to football, his sweating from saying he just worked out, his sleeping at hours of the day when he shouldn't have been because he said he had a cold with no physical signs of having a cold, his temper and his irate attitude when he couldn't get the drugs, to hormones growing up and just being stubborn, to missing tinfoil, that my husband used it for the barbecue, to spoons to my grandchildren that I thought I gave them to dig in the dirt, and a rash of many other things.
You've got a couple of websites that
Yes.
talk about these. What are they?
Yes, our educational website is www.pillskill.net, and our nonprofit website is www.hopetogether.org, because truly together, working with law enforcement, community, schools, and families is the only way that we can really deter this two-headed monster.
Sherry, thank you very much for being with us tonight.
It's our pleasure. Thank you.
We'll be right back.